I hate morning meetings. I hate them with a passion. If you see a standing meeting on my calendar at 8:30 a.m., you're looking at a mistake. I call this death by a dozen meetings, and I used to be subject to it. But now I've changed how I do my work. I've changed how I respond to meeting invitations. I'm gonna tell you exactly what I did to free up time on my calendar so I could work on what matters most. I'm gonna explain to you why it's actually important. You may be overlooking the biggest opportunity to improve your performance and to improve your credibility. It seems counterintuitive to decline meetings and think that you'll be perceived more positively as a result of that. But that's actually what has happened with me, and I'll explain to you how I did it so that you can apply it yourself. Let me start with the data. The data comes from multiple different sources, but it was pulled together by a guy named Daniel Pink. He triangulated data from Wall Street performance, school test scores, and even Twitter data to find out when are people most productive and when do they feel most productive. And what did he find? He found that for roughly 70% of people, their peak is in the morning. It's between the hours of roughly 7 a.m. and 11 a.m. It varies a little bit, there's some nuance there, but the punchline is the morning time is the most productive time for roughly 70% of the people. Now let me ask you a question. Does that surprise you? Probably not, right? Because you're probably in the 70% like I am. My most productive hours are in the morning. But what gets rewarded by our leadership, right? Or rewarded by the business? Accepting meetings, showing up, being on site, being present. That's what gets rewarded. But if you're a knowledge worker, if you're in leadership, that time, it's a biological gold mine. It's proven, it's with data that this is a gold mine for you to tap into. And still, we chunk up our days into little 30-minute segments. And then, oh, here's a free 30-minute segment. Maybe I'll actually get some time to think. But you're busy ramping down from one meeting and ramping up to another meeting and answering emails. It's a disaster. So you're actually losing productivity. You're actually getting worse results, lowering your status, preventing the progression of your career because you continue to accept meetings, and especially in the morning time. If you're a leader, you got to this position that you're in because you have skills that the marketplace wants. But earlier in your career, you were rewarded most likely for working as an individual contributor, right? Somebody who had focus time, somebody who probably wasn't attending a lot of meetings, and you knocked it out of the park, you crushed it. Now here you are in leadership, and you have these little rewards that get given to you because you attend these meetings, you show up, your name is on the attendee list, you send out notes, whatever it is, right? You're getting rewarded for that. But that is holding you back. And I've observed something in about 90%, maybe even 95% of the people that I work with. They conform. They reject their inner voice. They do what's expected. They're afraid to be the one to say no. They're afraid that their boss will get pissed that they missed this meeting. But I guess the question is, do you want to be like the 90%? Do you want to be in the majority? When you hear leader, what comes to mind? There's a bunch of good answers here, right? Maybe status, maybe you think of somebody that's out in front of the pack, somebody who's leading the charge, somebody who paved a new path that wasn't there before. There are a bunch of good answers. But what do you not think of when you think of leader? Conformity. You don't think of conformity because that's not what a leader does. Here's the thing. You don't have to be loud, but you can't continue in this way, and you can't be quiet about your time. It is your time. Here's the plan. This is exactly what I did when I had this problem and I realized no one was going to solve this problem for me. I started declining meetings. The low-hanging fruit is pretty straightforward. It's the stuff that you don't want to go to. You know it doesn't add value. You know you don't need to be there, right? As a leader, we get invited to every meeting because we're a stakeholder on a bunch of projects. We're a stakeholder in a bunch of different areas. That's the low-hanging fruit. Just decline meetings that you know you don't need to be there. Ones that you're optional are the easiest. And no one's gonna say anything because you're listed as optional. It's that easy, right? To start declining there, that's gonna free up probably 20% of your calendar, maybe 30%, maybe even more if you've been in management for a while and you just have meeting overload, could be even more than that. Instantly, I bet for most of you, if you're in leadership, if you just decline the meetings where you don't need to be there, where you're optional, you're gonna get 20% of your time back almost immediately. That's the first thing and the easiest thing. So that's the lowest hanging fruit. Now we're gonna go up one level and we're gonna pick the second lowest hanging fruit. It starts to get a little bit more tricky, but I want you to look at your calendar. In fact, go back to last week and look at every meeting on your calendar. Ask yourself honestly, did I need to be in that meeting to get the value out of that meeting? Or did I need to be in that meeting to provide value for that meeting? There's a significant portion of our meetings that we don't actually need to be there for. So again, we're in leadership. We get invited to things that maybe we just want to keep our finger on the pulse of something, but how important is it to you to keep your finger on the pulse on this specific day? How important is it to the person hosting the meeting that you be there on the specific day? Is that person important to you? And I'll tell you exactly what I told people when I was declining meetings. I told them that this is not my number one priority. I've realized I'm not delivering the value I need to deliver to the business. I'm not operating at my maximum capacity. I'm not delivering maximum value. I've got problems that I need to solve or things that I need to help my team with. And this meeting is unfortunately cutting into the time that I need to help my team with this problem or to solve this problem that I have for myself. You will get a lot of grace from people when you say things like that because they understand. The people that are hosting the meetings are also people that are overburdened. They'll understand that you want time to yourself. And a lot of times they're just gonna find a way to get the information to you that you need outside of the meeting. They'll send you an email, they'll drop you a message. If they need something from you, same thing. They'll send you an email, they'll drop you a message, right? They'll let you know and give you an out. Okay, so that's the second lowest hanging fruit that we just picked. Now we gotta go another level. There's 4 levels. We're gonna go 1 level up to level 3. So the next thing we need to do is to look at that morning time. 7 a.m. to 11 a.m., 6 to noon, 8 to noon, whatever that time is for you. Look at that morning time and we need to really scrutinize what things actually need to happen during those morning hours. There are meetings that we can't avoid in leadership. I get it, that happens. I think you can avoid more meetings than you realize, but I understand there's some threshold here, but we want to protect that morning time as much as possible. So for that 7 to 11 a.m. window, look at those meetings and figure out what meetings can be moved. And the meetings that can be moved, just reach out to the scheduler, reach out to the person scheduling it, and use the data that I referenced. Go look it up. Go look up Daniel Pink's data and hand that to the person scheduling the meeting and saying, here's why I think it would benefit all of us if this meeting was rescheduled to Thursday afternoon at 3 o'clock, right? Because a meeting at 10 a.m. or a meeting at 9 a.m. or a meeting at 8 a.m. is far more damaging to your day and to your overall output than a meeting at 3 p.m. At 3 p.m., you're probably coming down from whatever energy you had earlier in the day. So I actually did this and this all worked for me. I got no pushback when I was asking people to reschedule meetings. And I found that in some cases, I was the culprit. I had these meetings scheduled in the morning and it was killing my productivity, it was killing my team's productivity. So I pushed it off. Actually was a little bit more radical at the time. I just canceled everything, all of the meetings that I had scheduled, I canceled. Worked out really great, but that's not the conversation for today. The easiest thing to do if you have a meeting in the morning is just push it off to the afternoon. You'll see returns pretty quickly from that. All right, so that's level 3. Recap. Level 1, decline the meetings where you're listed as optional. Level 2, decline the meetings where you aren't actually adding value or you don't truly need to be there during the meeting. And then level 3 is protecting that time from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m., really scrutinizing what needs to happen during that time and what can be pushed off to a later time in the day. So now we go to level 4. Level 4 is more of an evolution. It's more of a thing that you will get to later. It's probably not going to feel natural right away. If you just really don't care, then you'll get it right away. But it took me a little while to get to level 4. So level 4 is simply declining things that aren't important to you. And that seems super selfish, but if you're in leadership, nobody can tell you how to spend your time better than you can. Nobody knows where you can add the most value better than you do. Take this to the natural extreme. What's the worst that can come of this? Somebody gets upset and they go to your boss and your boss says, hey, you need to attend this meeting. You can have a conversation with your boss. You can give your boss the same data. You can talk to them about these are the priorities that we had talked about, and this one's way out in left field. I don't need, this isn't a priority for me and my team. You can talk to him or her about that. Try to get them on board with declining that meeting. But if you have to do it, you have to do it. But you won't know if you just accept everything that comes your way. So just start declining. Now, what's actually going to happen, right? What's actually going to happen is you're going to start to get some time back to think, to get into deep work, to solve more important problems. You might actually detect something going on with your team that you wouldn't otherwise detect if you were stuck in your office on meetings all day. There's going to be a lot of good things to come from it. And the reason that I say that level 4 is something you'll probably evolve and get to later is because once you have that free time and you're able to focus again, you're able to make a positive impact again, you realize that that's the single biggest thing that you can do to make a difference in the business. in the work that you're trying to do. That's the single biggest thing that you can do to improve your productivity. It's not trying to shuffle things. It's not trying to maintain a master task list. It's not setting a bunch of follow-ups. It's giving yourself time to focus on the problems that matter. Here's the thing. If you don't own your schedule, other people are going to own your schedule for you. And you're not going to like the results. They're going to be predictable. They're going to be the results you have been getting versus what you could be getting if you were owning your schedule. And here's the real. Life is short. Your career is even shorter. So why are you wasting your time on these meetings that mean nothing? You could be doing anything. You could be going for a walk in a park. You could be spending time with someone that you love. Or you could be productive. But instead, you're sitting on this meeting because you're a stakeholder in the meeting. I hope this was useful. I did genuinely use it. I'm still using it today. As time has gone on, I've gotten more and more bold, and I continue to be more productive.